Hey, you weirdos. What's up, Wing Chun? How's it going? Hey, Bigfoot. Hello. Nice of you to join. Do, do, do. What's up, Nikki? How's my lighting? You guys like the lighting? It's a little dark. Is it a little dark for you? Should I change it? So I got a new light, okay? So I can make the color temperature a little bit lighter or darker. Or warmer. Or cooler. Or warmer. Or cooler. Or warmer. How about this? We'll just keep it here. What's up, Sarah? How's it going? Hey, Hope. Nice of you to join. Definitely not Ben Lenzi. Best thing to do at 3 a.m. What are you doing at 3 a.m.? Go to sleep. What's up, Lady Koi? I look orange. Well, it's keeping up with the theme of Halloween. All right, we can start with All right, go straight into my Africa quiz. What did we get last time? Hope, you're gonna do a COVID test? Okay, yeah. Tell us how it goes. What did we get last time? 58%? All right. All right, we can do that. We'll shoot for the moon today. 59%. 59%. Let's do it. Equatorial Guinea. I think it's here. Fuck. Where? Oh. Benin should be either here or here. I think this is Ghana. This must be Benin. Okay. Mauritius, no clue. Here. Oh, it's an island. Burkina Faso should be somewhere. Here? This is Cote d'Ivoire. Here? Fuck! Here? This is Togo. Burkina Faso. Oh. Senegal should be this. Ethiopia is here. Mauritania. Oh. Somalia, Djibouti. This is Cote d'Ivoire. Libya. Gambia is here. Mali. This should be Seychelles, Botswana. Where? Okay. Zambia. Namibia, Angola. Malawi. I have no idea. Cape Verde. I think it's here, right? Here. Burundi. Morocco. Nigeria is... Kenya. Is it here? No. Kenya should be... Damn it. Uganda. Oh, God. It's all gone wrong. Algeria is here. These. Is this Liberia? Yeah. Tanzania. Sudan. Comoros. I think that's an island. Yep. Cameroon? I don't think it's one of these. Nice. Sierra Leone's here. Ghana is Ghana. Namibia. South Sudan. Togo. Egypt. Mozambique. Zimbabwe. Niger. Soto. Eritrea. Chad. Oh. Congo. Central. Fuck. Gabon is this one, right? Guinea. Gabon. Guinea. Angola. Western Sahara. Tunisia. Where? Oh! 60%. Okay. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. I think I'm pretty good with these ones now. Like on the west side here. I gotta learn these now. Yeah. Do you know what game I've been playing? Okay, hold on. Last thing before we start. I've been playing this one. You were doubting. How dare you? Okay, that was 60%. Okay. Next time's gonna be 70%. Oh, wait, hold on. I can get pretty far. Never mind. Wait, hold on. Fuck! Hold the rhythm, but... Fuck! Okay, never mind. Alright. Anyways. Okay, guys. What happened last week? Alright, so last week, our hero, Xiaofeng, who was fighting with these dudes from Azu's sect, right? And one of the dudes reveals that Azu stole some special artifacts from her master that allows you to like practice this martial arts called the Great Energy Dissolving Skill, right? Now Xiaofeng, so Xiaofeng, he leaves, he goes away for a drink because he's not interested in any of this stuff, letting Azu fend for herself. Turns out she gets captured. Now, Xiaofeng doesn't really want to let her die, so he hides in the bushes to see what's going to happen, and so he's surveying the scene. The eldest brother of the sect, he arrives on the scene and he shows off some powerful moves, and then everyone praises him, right? So in this sect, it seems to be expected that you just relentlessly praise the people above you. Now the elder brother, elder brother burns one dude alive because this dude revealed the secret of the artifact to Xiaofeng, and he's about to burn Azu alive. But Xiaofeng lends her his energy while he's still hiding, and then she defeats the elder brother, right? Which makes everyone call her the eldest sister. And then Azu, she burns the guy alive. Now Xiaofeng sees this and he's disgusted and he leaves. Azu, she runs after him, but he refuses to let her come with. So she suddenly, she throws a tantrum, and she suddenly falls down in the snow, not breathing. Xiaofeng is like, oh, he's kind of worried, and he checks up on her. Then she suddenly wakes up, and she tries to poison him with a poison needle, right? She tries to spit a poison needle at him. And, but Xiaofeng is so close that he has little time to react. So he does this palm strike quickly to deflect the needle. But unfortunately, the palm strike also sends Azu flying like 10 feet away. And that's where we left off. That's it. Oh, snacks. Wait, let me get a snack. 1 sec. Or 1 sec. What is this? Ooh. What is it? Looks like raw noodles to me. Oh, this is gonna be hard to eat. They're like this. It's just raw noodle. Oh my god. So good. Mm. 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 It's just raw noodles. Mm. It's pretty good. Kind of salty. I dropped one? No, I didn't. Did I? No, it's gone. Hmm. Yeah. Just raw ramen noodles. Do you guys like to eat the instant noodles in the bags? Just eat it raw. I like it. So this one is pretty good. It's kind of like that. I'm gonna have to give it a 8.7 out of 10. The ants will get it. Mm. Raw men. You like raw men, Claire? Is that what you like? Toot, toot. All right, 1 sec. All right. Chapter 26. Slaughtering bear and catching tiger with bare hands. Xiaofeng had just palm striked Azu, right? And she just went flying. So let's see what happens. Xiaofeng escaped danger by a hair's breadth, and he secretly cried out, "Shame!" The first thought that came to his mind was, this evil vamp really has a vicious heart. She actually employed this sneaky trick against me. The hidden weapons from Xingxiu sect is extremely powerful and sinister. If you got shot by their weapons, the chances of survival is minimal, and his heart shivered when he thought about it. Oh no! This translator also does the tense changes. However, after seeing Azu being sent crashing over 10 feet by his palm, he was in shock. Oh no! How can she withstand my palm strike? I'm afraid I killed her. His body flashed, and he was by her side, only to see her eyes closed. 2 streams of blood flowed from the corner of her lips. Her face was akin to gold paper. She stopped breathing for real this time. Xiaofeng was stunned. He thought, I killed her again. I killed Aju's sister. She implored me to take care of her sister on her deathbed, but I killed her. This shock should only have lasted for a moment, but he was in a trance-like state, and it seemed like an eternity to him. He shook his head, quickly placed his palm on Azu's back, and desperately channeled his internal energy into her. After a while, Azu moved slightly. Xiaofeng was overjoyed and exclaimed, Azu, don't die. I will do whatever it takes to save you. But Azu only ever moved so slightly, and she stopped moving again. Xiaofeng was extremely anxious. Immediately, he crossed his legs and sat on the snow. He lifted Azu gently and placed her in front of him, pressing both his palms on her vest. He slowly channeled his internal energy into her body. He knows that Azu's injuries were severe. At the moment, he can only keep her breathing and stop her from dying temporarily, and so the energy had to be channeled slowly. After some time, traces of white smoke emerged from his head, and he is exerting himself fully. Oh yeah, I hope it's negative. Negative for COVID. Congratulations. Okay, so traces of smoke emerged from his head. Right, he's concentrating. After continuously channeling his energy for a half hour, Azu's body moved slightly. She called out softly, Brother-in-law. Xiaofeng was overjoyed, but he continued to channel his energy and did not speak. Her body warmed up gradually, and her faint breathing could also be detected. Xiaofeng feared his effort might go to waste, and he did not stop his delivery of internal energy. Only when it reached noon, when Azu was breathing uniformly again, did he carry her and trotted off quickly. However, he found that her face did not have the slightest bit of color. He opened up his steps, moving fast yet stable, his left hand still pressing on Azu's vest as he continuously channeled his internal energy into her. After walking for a long time, he reached a small town, but there was no inn in the town. There was no choice, and he could only travel further north. After rushing for over 20 li, did he found a humble inn. This inn did not have a waiter and was managed solely by its owner. Xiaofeng asked the owner to fetch a bowl of hot soup, and using a spoon, he slowly fed it into Azu's mouth. But she only drank 3 mouthfuls before vomiting everything out, the soup laced with her fresh blood. Okay, yep, she's not faking it. I think she's actually hurt. I mean, she did like get hit with the palm strike from Xiaofeng, so I'm pretty sure she's injured. Xiaofeng was extremely anxious, and he thought that Azu's injury would most likely be incurable. The battle between Hades and Divine Physician Sui was unknown. Even if he had Divine Physician Sui by his side now, he might not be able to cure her. When Aju was injured by Shaolin Temple's head abbot, although he did not suffer the palm, the experience was no less thrilling. Only by applying the mystical ointment from Taihang Mountains' Elder Tan and receiving treatment from the divine physician was her life preserved. Although he knew that he could not hope to preserve Azu's life, he refused to give in and thought, even if I tire myself to the extreme and deplete all my internal energy, I must preserve her life to the very end. I am not doing this for Azu's sake, but to live up to Aju's exhortations. He knew that Azu plotted against him earlier, and if he did not retaliate with his palm, he would have died by her hands. He had extremely high martial arts, and in the event of danger, he would instinctively strike out to neutralize the danger. He was forced to wound Azu, even if Aju was present. she would never utter the slightest bit of blame, as Azu created this mess, and there was nothing an outsider could do. Nevertheless, since Aju did not know about this, Xiaofeng could not help but feel that he let her down. He did not sleep a wink that night until the next day. He was continuously using his internal energy to sustain Azu's life. The day Aju was wounded, Xiaofeng only sent out his energy when he felt her breath weaken. However, currently, his palm was inseparable from Azu, else her breathing would cease immediately. The second night was exactly the same situation. Although Xiaofeng had strong energy, but after 2 days and 2 nights of channeling, he was extremely tired. The 2 pots of wine stored in the inn had been emptied, and he wanted the owner to go out and buy more of it. But he did not carry much silvers with him. It did not matter if he did not eat for a day. However, he would be depressed if he did not get to drink wine. He was getting physically and mentally exhausted, and he hoped to use the wine to perk up. He thought, Azu must have carried some money on her. Untying her clothes bags, he saw 3 small gold ingots and a few broken silvers. He took a silver, tied up the clothing bag, and saw a purple ribbon connecting the bag to her waist. Xiaofeng thought, this little girl is very careful. She feared losing her clothes bag. However, with all these stuff connecting to her, it can be very uncomfortable. He reached out and untied the ribbon from her waist. The ribbon was well tied and required one hand. With much effort, the ribbon was untied, and upon tugging, he felt an object connected to the other end of the ribbon. Ah, this must be the artifact. This guy is an alcoholic? True, Bigfoot. However, the object was hidden in her skirt. He let go of the ribbon. There was a pai sound, and something fell out. It was a little yellow wooden tripod. Xiaofeng sighed, bent over to pick it up, and placed it on the table. The carvings on the wooden tripod were extremely meticulous. The wood quality was akin to polished jade, and red threads seemed to be ingrained into the wood texture. Xiaofeng knew this object was used to practice the great energy-dissolving skill of the Xingxiu sect. He was disgusted, and he ignored the object after giving it 2 glances. So this cauldron thing, okay, yeah, it belonged to the Xingxiu sect. She has stolen it from her master, okay, and apparently is used to practice this great energy-dissolving skill. Whatever it is. He thought, this little girl is really cunning. She keeps saying that this divine wooden king tripod had been handed to me, but she kept it hidden in her skirt. Firstly, she knew that her sect members would believe that I took it. Secondly, it is not convenient to search her skirt, and eventually no one detected it. Huh, she can hardly live right now. What is the use of such an object? He summoned the inn owner, ordered him to take the silver to buy wine and meat, and continued to use his internal energy to keep Azu alive. By the morning of the 4th day, he really could not take it anymore. Gripping Azu's palm with both hands, cradling her in his bosom, he channeled the energy through her palm, and after a while, he could no longer keep his eyes open, and he finally drifted asleep. But he was constantly thinking about Azu's life and death, and after a short nap, he snapped awake. Fortunately, while he fell asleep, his energy was still flowing continuously into her, as long as their palm remained connected. Her breathing would not stop. You just hope he doesn't fall in love with this one? I really hope not. I really don't like her. Now, even though you don't like her, would you want her to die? Right now? Not sure. This went on for another 2 days. Although her breath could be maintained, her injuries did not have the slightest bit of improvement, and so they had to keep staying in this small inn. So how could this problem be resolved? Azu occasionally opened her eyes, her gaze hazy and lifeless, an obvious sign that she was still unconscious, and naturally she was in no condition to speak. Xiao Feng thought hard, but could not come up with any idea. He thought, I can only carry her and continue traveling, try our luck along the way. I cannot stay in this inn and endure to no avail. You guys feel like he would? He will fall in love with her? Oh no. He hugged Azu with his left hand. His right hand took her clothing bag and held it in his chest. Seeing the wooden tripod on the table, he pondered, such a harmful object. It would be better to destroy it. As he was about to strike it with his palm, another thought came to him. Azu braved countless hardships to acquire this object. Seeing her injury is incurable. On her deathbed, I will take it out and let her glance at it, so that she may die in peace of mind, rather than having a gnawing regret till the end. He reached out for the wooden tripod. Once in his hand, he felt something squirm and move inside it. Feeling extremely curious, he examined the tripod. There were 5 coin-sized holes by the sides. The neck of the tripod had a fine slit, and it seemed to divide into 2 sections. Using his pinky and ring finger to grip the tripod's body, the thumb and middle finger to grip the upper section of the wood tripod, and giving it a left turn, the section can be spun. After turning a few rounds, the tripod's cover opened. Peering into the interior, he could not help but be surprised and somewhat nauseated, as there were 2 poisonous bugs gnawing at each other, one scorpion and the other a centipede. The bugs were rolling around and dueling fiercely. A few days ago, the tripod was placed on the table, and there were no poisonous insects. Naturally, the centipede and scorpion came shortly after and climbed into it. Xiao Feng knew that this was the Xingxiu sect's weird technique in collecting poisonous bugs and creatures. Tipping the tripod, the centipede and scorpion fell to the ground. So it looks like this tripod attracts poisonous insects. He stepped on the bugs and killed them, replaced the lid on the tripod, and kept it in the clothing bag. After settling his bills, he hugged Azu. Running against the wind and snow, he traveled northward. His feud with the heroes of the Central Plains was deep, but he did not think of disguising himself as he traveled north. He got closer and closer to the Song dynasty, capital of Kaifeng. It was inevitable that he would meet with his martial artists from the Central Plains. Firstly, he did not wish to kill them out of resentment. Secondly, he was carrying Azu, and it was not convenient to fight with them. Thus, he avoided the main road and chose desolate mountain routes. After traveling for a few hundred li, he was still safe and sound. On this day, he reached a town. He saw a pharmacy with a wooden plaque. Generational Confucian doctors providing treatment for kings. He wondered, there won't be any famous doctor in this small town, but there is no harm in seeking diagnosis. Thus, holding on to Azu, he entered to seek medical treatment. That Confucian doctor took Azu's pulse, glanced at Xiao Feng, took Azu's pulse again, glanced at Xiao Feng again. The look on his face was strange. Suddenly, he stretched out a finger to take Xiao Feng's pulse. Xiao Feng was angered and said, Doctor, the consultation is for my sister's illness. I am not seeking treatment. The doctor shook his head and said, I think you may be sick, distraught, and confused. You are in need of some medical treatment. Xiao Feng said, I am distraught and confused. The doctor replied, the girl's pulse had stopped. She is dead, but the body had not yet stiffened. You are seeking what kind of treatment? You are seeking what kind of treatment for her? Aren't you distraught and confused? Buddy, the dead cannot be revived. You cannot be too sad, and take your sister's body and quickly bury her. Let her rest peacefully. Oh, is she dead? I don't know. I don't believe it. Xiao Feng did not know whether to laugh or cry, but the doctor's words were not completely unreasonable. Azu is indeed dead, but she is totally reliant on his internal energy to maintain her chance of survival. How would a normal doctor understand this? Okay. He stood up and turned towards the door. A housekeeper hurriedly tripped into the pharmacy and shouted, "Quick, quick! I want the best old mountain ginseng. Our venerable master suddenly suffered a stroke on he's on his last breath. He needs the ginseng to hang on to his life." The pharmacy shopkeeper said, "Yes, yes, we have the best old mountain ginseng." Xiaofeng listened to the words "old mountain ginseng, hang on to life." At once he remembered, as a person was on his last breath, if you feed him a few mouthfuls of ginseng broth, he would be able to hang on and live for a few more moments, long enough for him to say his last words. But he did not know he could also use it on Azu. The owner took out a red wooden box, carefully pushing open the cover, revealing 3 finger-thick ginsengs. Xiaofeng heard people say the thicker the ginseng, the better. The deeper the wrinkle on the skin, the more valuable. If it is shaped like a person, head, hand, and foot all intact, then it is of the highest quality that comes once in a blue moon. The 3 ginsengs seemed to be common objects, not something remarkable. The housekeeper plucked one of them and hurried away quickly. Xiaofeng took out 1 gold ingot and bought the remaining 2 ginsengs. The pharmacy had utensils for brewing medicine. The ginseng broth was brewed immediately and slowly fed to Azu. This time around, she did not vomit. After feeding a few more mouthfuls, Xiaofeng noticed that her pulse had strengthened slightly, and her breathing seemed a little smoother, and he could not help but feel delighted. That Confucian doctor was watching at the sides, but shook his head repeatedly and said, "Buddy, this ginseng was not acquired easily. It's a pity that it is wasted. The ginseng is not a fungus of immortality. If it can revive the dead, then the rich people would never die." For the past few days, Xiaofeng could not leave Azu for the slightest moment. He was bored and vexed. Hearing the endless nagging from the doctor, the cold, snide remarks, he could not help but feel his anger rising. He wanted to strike out with his palm, but as his arm moved slightly, he immediately restrained himself. Randomly attacking a person without martial arts, can one be considered an honorable hero? He promptly stayed his hand, picked up Azu, and rushed out of the pharmacy. He heard the doctor still sneering. "This guy is really confused, running around with a dead person. It seems that he will not live for long." This doctor did not know that he had just come back from the gates of hell. If Xiaofeng had struck out in his fit of rage, even if 10 imperial doctors were around, they would not be able to save him. Once out of the pharmacy, Xiaofeng wondered, "There is a saying that old mountain ginseng is produced in the Changbai Mountains along the bitter cold of the land. I should try my luck there. Although to revive Azu is an extremely difficult task, but as long as I can make her live for an extra day, Aju's spirit will be gratified." Turning to the right, he headed on the northeast path. As he encountered pharmacy along the way, he went in to buy the ginseng. And when he ran out of gold and silver, he just strode in and grabbed it. How could a few pharmacy's attendants hope to stop him? After consuming large amounts of ginseng, Azu could occasionally open her eyes and gently cried out, "Brother-in-law." During the night, even if he did not transmit his internal energy into her for a few hours, she could still carry on breathing on her own. As the weather gradually grew cold, Xiaofeng, holding on to Azu, finally reached the Changbai Mountains. Although the Changbai Mountain produces considerable amounts of ginseng, if one is not familiar with the terrain and ginseng harvesting, even if they searched for years, they might not find even one. As Xiaofeng continued traveling north, travelers gradually thinned out. Eventually, all he could see was forest and tall grass, snow piled high as slope. He did not see a single soul around for a few days. He could not help but secretly cry out, oh no, there is snow everywhere, but how to dig the ginseng? I should return to places where ginseng is sold. If I have money, I will buy it, else I will just rob." So, holding on to Azu, he started trekking back again. At the time, the weather was freezing, and snow had accumulated several feet off the ground. It was extremely difficult to travel, if not for his unsurpassed martial arts. As one travels while carrying another person, even if they don't freeze to death, they would get trapped in the snow and be unable to free themselves. During the third day, the sky became gloomy, and it seemed like a blizzard would strike soon. As he observed the surroundings, he was surrounded by white snow, not to mention that there was no sign of footprints. There was also no sign of footprints of wild beasts. Xiao Feng was at a loss. It was as if he was surrounded by boundless sea. The sound of wind was sharp, and it came whistling in his ears. Xiao Feng knew he was lost. He leapt several times up the trees and looked around. His surroundings are full of snow-covered forest. How could he determine his bearings? Afraid that Azu might catch a cold, he undid his robe and wrapped her in his bosom. Although he had never been afraid of anything, but in this vast surroundings it seemed that he was the only one left in the world, and he could not help but feel frightened. Even if he was the only one left in the world, it would not bother him. The world may be vast, but it cannot trap him. However, in his arms he was carrying an unconscious, half-dead Azi. He did not eat for 3 consecutive days now, and he wanted to hunt a chicken or wild hare, but he could not see the slightest shadow around. He wondered, I can't escape by rushing around randomly. I should rest a night in the forest. Once the storm settles, the moon and stars will be visible, and I will be able to identify the correct direction. He found a shelter in the forest, gathered some dried branches, and set a fire. As the fire burned brightly, he felt the warmth in his body. His belly growled from hunger. Seeing some fungus growing on the roots of a tree, gray-colored and seemingly non-toxic, he baked them over the fire and ate it to alleviate his hunger. After eating 20 fungus, he felt more energetic. He supported Azu on his bosom to warm her with the fire. As he was about to close his eyes and fall asleep, he heard a fierce and loud hooting shout. But it was actually the roar of a tiger. Xiao Feng was overjoyed. A large worm has arrived at the doorstep. We can eat tiger meat now. He strained his ear and heard the 2 tigers dashing on the snow-covered ground. But he immediately heard someone calling out. It seemed that someone was chasing the tigers. After hearing the shout of people, he was overjoyed. He heard the 2 tigers dashing westward. Immediately, he laid Azu gently by the fire. Using his lightness martial arts, he pursued them on the slanting road. Currently, it was snowing heavily. The northern wind blew strongly, churning and filling the sky with snow. After rushing over 10 li, he saw 2 brightly colored tigers come roaring, followed closely by a large man wearing a beast hide and carrying a large iron fork. The 2 tigers were huge. After running for a while, one of the tigers turned around, roared, and rushed towards the hunter. That man readied his tiger hunting fork, aimed, and attacked the tiger's throat. The tiger's movement was nimble. With a blink of an eye, it avoided the fork, and the second tiger also sprang towards the hunter. The hunter's reaction was extremely fast. He reversed the fork, and with a pice sound, he hit the tiger's waist with the fork's handle. The tiger roared out in pain, hanging out its tail. It turned around and ran. The other tiger did not want to fight anymore and followed suit. Xiao Feng saw the hunter was vigorous and skillful, had strong muscular strength, but it seemed that he did not know any martial arts, only that he was familiar with the habits of wild animals. When the tiger was about to attack, he directed the fork at the tiger's vital spot, anticipating the movement of the enemy. But it would not be easy to kill 2 tigers with that one stroke. Xiao Feng shouted, "Brother, I will help you hunt the tiger." He rushed out and blocked the path of the 2 tigers. Seeing Xiao Feng rush out suddenly, the hunter was shocked. He cheered and shouted loudly, but he was not speaking the language of the Han people. Xiao Feng did not understand what he was saying, and he ignored it for the moment. He lifted his right hand, aimed, and struck at the forehead of the first tiger. With a bang sound, the tiger somersaulted and fell down. and with a thundering roar, it pounced towards Xiaofeng again. Xiaofeng used 70% of his power in that previous palm strike. Even for outstanding martial artists, their brain would burst immediately if they received that strike, but the tiger's head was strong, and its bones were thick. This once-in-a-century rock-shattering palm strike only made the tiger somersault when struck on the head, and it even recovered and pounced back immediately. Xiaofeng praised, "Good chap, hats off to you." He turned sideways, his right hand slanting from top to bottom, and with a ta sound, he chopped towards the tiger's waist. With this chop, he added another 10% of his power. As the tiger rushed forwards a few steps, its footsteps faltered. It knew that it might die and tried to flee desperately. Xiaofeng moved forward 2 steps. With a hold from his right hand, he caught the tiger's tail. With a loud shout, his left hand also gripped the tail, and with his best effort, he strained both his hands and pulled back. The tiger was spontaneously rushing forward, but because of this pull, the two forces collided, and the tiger flew into midair. All right. I'll be right back. All right. 5-minute break. Be right back. And we're back. All right. So Xiaofeng is fighting this tiger. The hunter, armed with this fork, was currently fighting fiercely with the second tiger. Suddenly, seeing Xiaofeng fling the tiger into midair, he was shocked to the extreme. The tiger opened its big mouth in midair, stretched out his claws, and descended. Xiaofeng gave a grunt and pushed out with both of his palms. There was a muffled bang as it landed on the tiger's belly. The tiger's belly was its soft spot, and this move, the twin palm parting cloud, is one of Xiaofeng's proudest moves. The tiger's 5 internal organs were shattered. After rolling around for a while, it fell down on the snow and died. The hunter admired Xiaofeng from the bottom of his heart. Killing a tiger empty-handed, he had an iron fork. If he couldn't even kill the tiger he was fighting, wouldn't he be underestimated? Immediately, he jabbed his fork left, jabbed his fork right, and rained jab after jab on the tiger's body. The tiger suffered numerous jabs and became even more enraged, revealing a dense row of white teeth. It pounced towards the hunter. The hunter dodged sideways, thrusting his iron fork, and with a pooh sound, buried it into the tiger's forehead. Lifting up with both hands, the tiger gave a miserable howl and collapsed onto the ground. Exerting his strength in both arms, the hunter firmly nailed the tiger onto the snow-covered ground. But a kulala sound was heard. What is a kulala sound? The back of his upper body clothing split, exposing his bare back. The muscles were well built, and he looked very imposing. Xiaofeng saw him and secretly praised, "Good man." The tiger's belly was facing the sky, its forepaws scratching and clawing randomly. After a while, it stopped moving altogether. The hunter raised his fork, laughed, turned around, and gave Xiaofeng the thumbs up, and said a few words. Xiaofeng did not understand his words, but judging from his expression, he knew that the hunter was praising him as an amazing hero, so he copied the hunter. Giving 2 thumbs up, he said, "Hero! Hero!" The man was overjoyed, pointing to his nose tip. He said, "Wang Yan Aguda." Xiaofeng knew this name was his name, and thus he also pointed to the tip of his nose and said, "Xiaofeng." The man replied, "Xiaofeng, Kitan." Xiaofeng nodded and said, "Kitan, you?" He stretched out his finger in inquiry. The man replied, "Wang Yan Aguda, Zhichen." Xiaofeng knew that to the east of the Liao Empire, north of Korea, there was a tribe called the Zhichen. The tribe was brave and skillful in battle, And so Wang Yan Aguda came from this Churchan tribe. Although language was a barrier, but to meet a companion in this vast snow sea, Xiaofeng was naturally happy. He started gesturing, signaling that he had another companion. Lifting the dead tiger, he walked to where Azu was lying. Dragging his dead tiger, Aguda followed suit. The tiger just died and its blood had not yet coagulated. Xiaofeng put down the tiger, cut open its throat, and poured the tiger's blood into Azu's mouth. Azu opened her mouth and was able to swallow the blood. Only after drinking around 10 mouthfuls did she stop. Xiaofeng was extremely happy. He tore off 2 sets of tiger's legs and started roasting them over the fire. Aguda saw him barehandedly. Aguda saw him tearing the tiger's body with his bare hands, as if he was tearing a cooked chicken. Such hand strength had never been seen before, and was completely unheard of. He stared at Xiaofeng's hands blankly, and after a while he stretched out his palm to gently stroke Xiaofeng's wrist and arm. His face filled with utmost admiration. Whoa, it's getting kind of close there, dude. After the tiger meat was grilled, Xiaofeng and Aguda ate their fill. Aguda gestured and asked about his intentions. Xiaofeng gestured that is digging ginseng for Azu medical treatment, and he eventually got lost. Aguda laughed, and with a burst of gestures, said that the ginseng is easy to acquire. As long as Xiaofeng followed him, he could have any amount of ginseng. Xiaofeng was overjoyed, stood up, and picked up Azu. How did they gesture that? How did they communicate? I don't understand. Bells for the tiger? Okay, fine. Bells for the death of the 2 tigers. Hey, you started taking Japanese courses in school? Awesome. That's awesome. Good luck with that, okay? After the tiger meat was grilled, Xiaofeng and Aguda ate their wait. Xiaofeng was overjoyed, stood up, picked up Azu with his left hand, and his right hand held up the dead tiger. Aguda gave a thumbs up and praised great strength. Aguda knew this area and was very familiar with the terrain. He would not get lost, even in this heavy blizzard. They walked for 2 days. In the afternoon of the 3rd day, Xiaofeng saw many footprints in the snow. Aguda gestured in succession, saying that they are nearing the tribe. Sure enough, after crossing 2 hill depressions, he saw a dense mass of skin tents on the slope of the southeast mountain. Aguda whistled with his mouth, and someone came out of the tent to welcome him. As Xiaofeng approached with Aguda, he saw a campfire at the front of every tent unit. The campfire was surrounded by women. They were mending beast skins and pickling beast meat. This feels like an RPG quest. Aguda led Xiaofeng to the largest tent in the middle. He raised the curtain and entered. Xiaofeng followed. The tent had more than 10 people sitting around, drinking merrily. Upon seeing Aguda, the crowd cheered. Aguda, pointing to Xiaofeng, gestured and narrated. Xiaofeng watched his expression and knew that he was narrating how he killed a tiger empty-handed. The crowd gathered around Xiaofeng, gave thumbs-ups, and praised him. As the atmosphere was getting rowdy, a Han salesman selling cosmetics walked over and said to Xiaofeng, "Sir, do you know the Han language?" Xiaofeng happily replied, I know. Asking about the situation, he found out that this was the tent of the Churchan's chief. The black-bearded old man in the middle of the crowd is the tribe's chief, Hulibu. He had 11 sons. All of them are competent heroes. Aguda is his second son. This Han salesman was called Xu Zhuo-cheng, and he came here every winter to stock up on ginsengs, beast furs, and he only left during the beginning of and he only leaves during the beginning of spring. Shu Juocheng knew the language of the Churchen, and he became Xiao Feng's interpreter. The Churchen and Khitan were at war with each other, but they always admired good heroes. Wanyan Aguda was intelligent and skillful, and he had the adoration of his father and fellow tribesmen, and he kept on praising Xiao Feng endlessly. Thus, the tribesmen did not bear any grudge against Xiao Feng, although he was a Khitan, and they treated Xiao Feng as an honored guest. Aguda gave up his own tent for Xiao Feng and Azu. Xiao Feng tried to decline his good intentions, but Aguda insisted. Seeing his sincerity, Xiao Feng eventually accepted and lived in the tent. The Jurchen tribe held a large feast to welcome Xiao Feng. The meat of the two tigers also became the delicacy of the feast. Xiao Feng did not drink wine for over half a month now. As numerous bags of Jurchen's wines was taken out, he drank bag after bags of wine, and he was totally unrestrained. The Jurchen's wine was spicy. The taste was extremely strong. The alcohol content was fierce. Ordinary people would be drunk by drinking half a bag. Xiao Feng drank well over 10 bags, and his complexion did not change at all. The Jurchen tribe measures a true hero by his wine tolerance. Oh, really? The crowd did not see with their own eyes how Xiao Feng killed a tiger barehanded, but such drinking prowess, even 10 Jurchen warriors could not hope to compare. Naturally, everyone was in awe. Shu Juocheng saw that Xiao Feng was well respected, and he was flattering towards him. Xiao Feng had nothing to do while staying in the tent, thus he followed Aguda and went hunting during the day. At night, he followed Shu Juocheng and learned the Churchen's language. When he learned about 40 to 50% of the language, he thought, he is a Khitan, but he cannot speak Khitan's language, and this seemed unreasonable, and thus he also learned the Khitan's language. Shu Juocheng had traveled around the world, be it Khitan, Western Xia, or Jurchen. He could speak their language fluently. Xiao Feng was not gifted in learning language, but Jurchen and Khitan were similar and easily comparable. After a long period of time, he could convey his intentions correctly and no longer required an interpreter. After a few months, spring came. Azu consumed ginseng every day, and her injury had some significant improvements. The ginsengs dug out by the Jurchen tribesmen were rare and of the highest quality, and they were even more valuable than real gold. Every time Xiao Feng went hunting, he would be able to hunt a lot of wild animals and harvest some ginseng for Azu to eat. Even for wealthy families, if their young missed eating ginseng every day, the family would most probably go broke. If the young miss ate ginseng every day, the family would most probably go broke. Every day, Xiao Feng would still use his internal energy to help regulate her breathing. However, he only had to do it once or twice. A huge improvement from previous situations where his palm was inseparable from her body. Sometimes, with much effort, Azu could speak a few words. However, her 4 limbs were still weak, and she was unable to move. All her daily needs and necessities were taken care of by Xiao Feng. Mindful of Aju's devotion, Xiao Feng willingly committed to these tasks. The more he tended to Azu, the more he felt that he fulfilled Aju's wish, and he felt gratified from the bottom of his heart. On this day, Aguda led a dozen tribesmen to the North Mountains to hunt bears, and he invited Xiao Feng to accompany him. He said, "The bear has thick fur, lots of grease, its paw delicious, and the bear's gall is extremely effective in treating injuries." Xiao Feng saw that Azu was in much better shape, and so he could go hunting without worries, and he gladly joined the hunting party. Before the sun had risen, the party headed off towards the north. Actually, it was early summer now. The snow had melted. The ground was muddy, and the forest was filled with rotten branches and leaves. It was extremely hard to travel, but the Jurchens were nimble and could still travel fast. Till noon, an old hunter called out, "Bear! Bear!" Everybody looked to the direction he was pointing. There was a big footprint in the distant mud ground. Not far from the footprint, was the bare foot track. Everyone was excited, and they followed the foot track and started chasing. The bare footprint was several inches deep in the mud. Even a child could track it easily. Everyone was cheering loudly and moved forward quickly. The footprints went all the way west and eventually left the muddy forest to a grass plain. The crowd moved even faster on the plain. As they were dashing forward, they suddenly heard the sound of horns. Dirt was rising at the front, and a large troop of people were galloping over. They saw a big black bear turn and run. 80 to 70 people on high horses were chasing behind, cheering, and some of them were armed with spears, while some others had bow and arrow, their expressions brave and fierce. Aguda cried out, "Khitan people! They have more men! Retreat! Retreat!" Xiaofeng knew that it was his own tribesmen, and he had an intimate feeling in his heart. Seeing Aguda run away, he did not move at all, stood there and tried to observe the situation. The Khitan people cried out, "Jurchen barbarians! Shoot them! Shoot them!" There was a shoo shoo sound, and endless arrows were shot. Xiaofeng was annoyed. Why did they shoot for no reason upon meeting each other? They don't even try to clarify the situation. He reached out his hand and plucked the few arrows that were shot towards him, but an ah sound was heard. The old Jurchen hunter screamed as he was shot in the back. He collapsed and died. Aguda rallied his men to a slope, proning on the ground. Drawing their bow and arrows, they shot down 2 Khitans. Meanwhile, Xiaofeng did not know which side he should help. The arrows shot by the Khitans were all smacked down by him, and they shouted, "What?" They did not say anything more and started killing people. Aguda shouted from the slope, "Xiaofeng! Xiaofeng, come here! They do not know you are a Khitan!" At this moment, 2 Khitans armed with long spears were riding horses and charging towards Xiaofeng. The 2 spears were raised and thrust towards his left and right. Xiaofeng did not wish to harm his own tribesmen. He seized the spears with each of his hands, and with a gentle flick, the 2 Khitans dismounted from their horses. Xiaofeng lifted both men with the spear's shaft and tossed them. The 2 men gave an ah, ah cry in midair. They flew back to their original position, fell down on the ground, and took quite a while before climbing back up again. Aguda and the Jurchen tribesmen applauded loudly. That's it. I think we're going to stop here. Was that fast? I think this is a short chapter. No? It seems super fast. Oh my god. Why is it so dark? So dark. Okay. Do 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 do. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah. That did seem fast, no? I think this is just a short chapter. Okay. So did you guys like that? So Xiaofeng was lost in the snow, and then he fought some tigers. And now he found this Jurchen tribe, and he's living among them. So he's getting to meet all the other people, all the other non-Han people. And they seem to be all right, you know? They don't seem that bad. All right, before we stop, I'm going to play some of this. All right, some of this, then we end. Okay. Up. Never mind. All right, guys. That's it. Okay. So I guess next week is gonna be another short chapter. Yeah. So it looks like Azu is really sick. So she wasn't just pretending. All right. That's it. I love you, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye. Bye.